Hi, so today we're going to talk about the laws of attraction, and we're going to come looking at from a quantum physics type of point of view. So quantum physics is basically the physics of the micro level. There's two types of physics. There's the macro physics, which is Newtonian physics, and that basically talks about things that are around us. Like, for example, this pen I'm holding in my hand would be something macro. The planets would be macro. Micro would be things like electrons, protons, neutrons, things like that. But the fact is, though, that all of the macro things, like take this pen for example, it is made up of protons, electrons, neutrons. It's made up of all the things at the micro level. So when we look at quantum physics, we see something that's quite strange about how the way a particle acts. We actually call it, in quantum physics, we call it a wavicle. So basically the way it acts is it's basically just this vibration. And basically, so there's this thing called the quantum, or the double slit experiment. So basically what you see in this experiment is when it waves through these two holes here, there's two holes here. Basically what happens is these waves will actually interact with one another, and it makes a pattern on the back wall of it basically interfering with itself. It's called the interferon pattern. So basically what happens, though, is if you take this exact same experiment and you see how it acts like a wave in this experiment, and you put an observer there. So if you put a person here, a human being, who sits there and watches this experiment, then what will happen is you have these two slits, and it no longer acts like a wave like this. It actually acts like a particle where it just shoots straight through. And it's all based on us observing it. And they actually basically, they did experiments basically to show this. So imagine that these two different pathways, one of them equaled you basically, I don't know, meeting your wife, meeting spouse. And then this one would be being alone. So based on the signal you gave to that electron or that proton, based on basically the signals you're giving to the micro frequencies of this world, you're creating what's happening in this reality. And on a different sense, I'm going to talk about what's called the reticulated activated system here. And basically what that shows us is basically the information that's coming out our brains right now. And there's just so much information. There's no way for us to take it all in. And actually people who take in too much information, they're kind of considered schizophrenic, because there's too much information. It's too much exhilarating information. They can't concentrate on anything. It's kind of the opposite of someone who's depressed, who feels like there's no energy and there's nothing to life. So what this reticulated activated system does basically is it basically kind of gets through all the bullpucky. So basically all of the stuff around us that is useless information, it basically gets rid of it. Because I'm going to show you on this board how much information we could consciously take in. So basically imagine all the information that's coming at us as this whole entire board. This little dot there is more. This is probably about 100 times more of the information than we're actually taking in. So basically what happens is the information that we actually take in is based on our conscious thinking. So if basically we're having a bad day and we're angry about something, and say we're mad, and basically we say, why does the world suck so bad? Do you know what our mind's going to do? It's kind of like a supercomputer. It's called our subconscious. It's part of our mind that's this automatic supercomputer part of your mind that you communicate with. And the conscious mind is your thinking mind. So basically what you do is you send a signal to that by basically saying, my life sucks. And then what this computer does is it's kind of like going on the Google search and saying, why does my life suck? Because it'll come up with answers and it will basically show you things. And another thing it'll do is if you're feeling angry and thinking that the whole human race is terrible and everybody's terrible around you, is you'll see terrible things out there. You'll see people slamming doors on one another. You'll see whatever you want to see because you have this reticulated activated system, and basically it's going to its job is to, whatever your mind concentrates on, it will show you those things, and other things that you don't concentrate on, it's not going to show you. So basically, if you're feeling angry, it's not going to show you people opening doors for one another. Even though that stuff could be happening right in front of your face, it's not going to show you. There is an excellent experiment. It's about basically what they do is they take kids and they pass a ball around. And there's two different colored shirt kids in this. There's white shirted kids and there's black shirted kids. And basically they say, count how many times the white shirted kids pass the ball amongst each other. And so basically what they do is they get a person to count those things, and in the background they basically change the people coming in, they change the color in the background, they even have a gorilla that walks in, a guy in a gorilla suit walking in, and they ask you after how many balls or passes did they make, and everybody knows the answer to that. And then they ask you, did you see the gorilla that walked in front of your face? And everybody says no, because the reticulated activated system actually shuts down that. Your eyes see it, but your brain says that's not what's important, so then it just shuts it away as trash. So it sees the gorilla, but it says, hey, that's trash, I don't need that information in my mind, and all it does is it counts the passes. And that's basically how your brain works when it comes to anger. So if you're feeling angry, you're just going to see things that make yourself angry. And on a different level, when you feel anger, it actually produces a frequency. So basically when you hear people talk about, like, if a tree falls in the woods, is it going to make a noise if no one's around to hear it? Well, the answer, everybody always thinks of it as like a question, a philosophical question that nobody can answer, but the answer is quite simple. If a tree falls in the woods and there's no one around to hear it, it can't make a noise because there's no eardrum to pick up that noise. Because what happens when the tree falls down, so imagine this is our big, weird-looking pink tree, and it falls down. The falling of it creates a sound vibration. And if there's an ear that's over here to pick up that vibration and create it into noise inside a person's brain, so basically it goes in their brain, and that's where that noise is actually created. So imagine this. You can ask this question. If a deaf person is in the woods and a tree falls, do they hear a noise? Of course they don't, because they don't have their brain doesn't have the capacity to create that sound wave into noise. So basically that's what happens. So when we're angry, we're producing what's basically is called the EMF. It's electromagnetic force. So basically what that does is it creates a frequency that we put out. We can actually measure that frequency. You can measure the electromagnetic field of your heart, basically. You can measure it like up to 6 feet away from you. Even they say even farther than that. So you're basically putting out a frequency. So you're putting out, say this is the anger frequency. And what happens is things that make you angry, that basically this is the environment. Imagine this is you over here, and this is the environment. Well, I'll just put a sunshine here for the environment. So when you're angry, it's going to actually attract things that are on the same frequency. So you're actually going to bring things to you. When you put out that anger, you actually attract anger. So what happens, think about it, it's very common and simple that people have this happen to them all the time. You're at work and you're in a bad mood, so you start yelling and screaming at one of your coworkers. What does he usually do? He usually yells and screams at you back. So you give out anger, you get anger. And then afterwards, you're all worked up and angry throughout the day because you got in a big fight. And you say, why did this happen to me? Probably because that's what you produced out. Kind of like the sensation when you stub your toe. And then all of a sudden, your day just goes horrible throughout the whole day. How many times do you stub your toe at the start of the day and you have a good day after that? Not that often. Usually you stub your toe and then it just goes downhill, because it creates this, basically this chain effect of you putting out anger, you get anger back, and then you put out more anger, and you get anger back, and you actually create a stronger and stronger frequency. But if you were to change this up, and you were to give out a different frequency, say that you wake up in the morning and you do something called incandescence, and you basically tell yourself you're going to do a great day and you're going to have fun and you're going to learn so much today, and you start yourself meditating, doing things like that, and you just get in that happy mood. Everybody's been in that happy mood, regardless if you meditate or do anything. Everybody's happy sometimes. So it creates a different type of frequency. So that's the frequency that you send out, and what does the universe do right back? It sends out a happy frequency. How many times do you do something nice to a person, then all of a sudden, boom, they do something nice back for you? How many times do you say do something nice for your boss, and then all of a sudden you find yourself getting a raise? It's just kind of, that's the way the world generally works. Even the process of doing something nice for someone. If you were to say, give something to someone and get nothing in return, just the fact of giving something to someone actually produces dopamine in your brain, which is a feel-good chemical, because we're actually social beings, and the best way that we are able to survive is coming together. That's why people live in cities, because we can split up the task, and that's why we're able to accomplish so much. One person couldn't build a city. It takes a city to build a city. So that's why it's important for us to be very social and kind to one another, because when we spread that, it actually gives us dopamine in our brain and makes us feel better. So that's where you see this frequency, these frequencies. So happy, when you put happiness out, it puts happiness right back into you. And that's why it's important to put happiness out into the world, put kindness out in the world, because that's, you get what you give. Basically, there's a great saying that says you don't get what you want in life, you get what you are in life. So if you're happy and you put that happiness out, that's what you're going to get in life. If you're angry and you put that anger out, that's what you're going to get in life. So this is KB signing off, just saying, remember to live with passion, live with a lot of love, live with a lot of kindness, and you're going to get a lot of love and kindness. Have a good one.